Most people think their money problems are about income. Inflation, a tough month, a raise that didn't come. But the same leak shows up at every level of earning, doesn't it? You made more last year, and the margin still vanished. You worked harder, and the peace still left. The enemy hopes you keep blaming numbers so you never confront the cause. It is not lack. It is a door. Let me name the villain so you do not fight shadows. The Devourer is not a metaphor for inconvenience. He is a real, predictable pattern of erosion that eats margin, gnaws at peace, and blurs clarity. He does not care how much you make. He cares how much access he has. He thrives where order is absent, where sight is dim, where stewardship is casual. The Devourer is attracted to disorder. Mark it well. He does not follow your effort. He follows your access. You can work 2 jobs, add overtime, chase a promotion, and still feel thin, still feel hunted, if the door is open. Think of your finances like a pantry. If it is unsealed, pests do not respect your grocery bill. They respect the seal. They are not impressed by how heavy your bags are. They are drawn to crumbs, to gaps, to the crack you stopped noticing. So it is with the Devourer. He smells disorder. He traffics in the unseen gap. He does not need a crisis. He needs a crack. Hear the comfort and the correction together. Order is not restrictive. It is protective. Order does not imprison you. It covers you. The fence around a good garden is not punishment. It is preservation. Boundaries keep wolves out, not life in. When order rises, peace returns. When order comes, sight clears. What used to ambush you becomes predictable, governable, quiet. Anxiety loses its leverage because access has been revoked. I am after your confidence, not your condemnation. This is not about shaming your past. It is about shutting your present doors. We will not manage leaks. We will starve the Devourer. We will identify one by one the precise doors that invite him. Unnamed money that wanders, calendars that hide dates until they strike, penalties masquerading as bad luck, subscriptions breeding in the shadows, impulses that pretend to comfort but only consume, the absence of reserve that turns every bump into a breakdown, debts that harvest interest you never intended to plant. And we will close them, deliberately, permanently. Say it with me. It is not lack. It is a door. I refuse the lie of scarcity. I choose order. I choose sight. I choose stewardship. As we move, you will discover that the leaks were not stronger than you. They were simply unchallenged. The Devourer had access. But access can be denied. Doors can be shut. Peace can govern again. The enemy does not need you destitute to defeat you. He needs you distracted. He does not have to empty your account to rob your authority. He only needs to thin your margin until your days are breathless, your decisions are rushed, and your heart is tired. Hear me. His strategy is scattering, not simply stripping. If he can scatter your attention, scatter your schedule, scatter your spending, scatter your confidence, he can keep you from governing what God has given you. Margin is a spiritual battleground. Margin is where peace lives. Margin is where generosity breathes. Margin is where wisdom takes time to speak before you act. Margin is the room that lets you see the trap before you step, the space that lets you say no without fear. the cushion that turns a bump into an inconvenience instead of a collapse. Margin is not luxury. It is lordship applied to time, attention, and resources. It is the quiet where stewardship hears the shepherd. The enemy hates that quiet, so he manufactures pressure. Chaos creates urgency. Urgency creates impulsivity. Impulsivity creates leaks. Leaks create shame. Shame keeps you hidden. Hiddenness isolates you from counsel, from prayer, from the gentle course corrections that come when you are not rushing. Then the cycle repeats. Faster, louder, costlier. This is the war over your margin. This is why the same patterns return even when the paycheck increases, because the issue is not the size of the inflow, but the spirit governing the flow. Not merely a budgeting problem, but a jurisdiction problem. What government sits over your money? Panic or peace? Fear or faith? The tyranny of urgency or the Sabbath rest of order? When panic governs, spending argues, bills ambush, and you live reactive. When peace governs, sight returns, choices slow to wisdom's pace, and money stops wandering because you stop wandering. The devourer is attracted to wandering. He does not care about the currency. He cares about the current, what is carrying you. If anxiety is the river, the destination is always loss. I speak calm over your soul now. You are not cursed. You are not doomed. You are not disqualified by last month's mistakes. Disorder is not a personality you are stuck with. It is a door you can shut. Repentance is not punishment. It is repositioning. You can renounce the government of panic and come under the government of peace. You can say, no more scattering, no more rush ruling me. I submit my time, my attention, my accounts to order. Let the confession rise within you. I refuse to be governed by crisis. I choose the jurisdiction of peace. I choose margin as worship, not margin as accident. I choose to slow to the speed of wisdom. I refuse shame. I step into the light. As you make that turn, the heavens do not delay. Grace meets alignment. Courage meets clarity. And the devourer, who fed on your haste, begins to starve. Hear the word that closes the argument and opens the way. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. Malachi 3:10-11. That is not a motivational speech. That is a covenant decree. Heaven is not bargaining. Heaven is establishing order. The Lord of hosts, the God of angel armies, ties protection to alignment. He does not say, try harder. He says, come into alignment. Order first, protection follows. Do you hear the sequence? Not hustle, then help. Not striving, then safety. Alignment, then authority is exercised on your behalf. Bring and prove me. It is not a transaction of cash. It is the transfer of jurisdiction. The tithe is the believer saying, you are the source, not me. You are the owner, not me. You are the provider, not me. And God answers that alignment with government. I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. The devourer feeds on disorder. Heaven starves him with order. What is a rebuke? It is not a polite suggestion to the enemy. It is legal language. It is a cease and desist issued from a higher court. Rebuke means restriction of access. It is the Lord placing your finances under His jurisdiction, so the devourer cannot operate where he has no legal ground. He may rage, but he cannot reach. He may threaten, but he cannot trespass. Why? Because covenant order shuts the gate. The open door is closed, not by your volume of effort, but by your posture of alignment. And the windows of heaven? Hear me well. Windows are not about money. They are about sight. When heaven's windows open, you see what you could not see before. You see the leak while it is still a drip, not after it has flooded the room. You see the penalty forming before the due date passes. You see the subscription fog that pretends to be small, but multiplies in the shadows. Sight is protection. Sight is peace. Sight is strategy. The enemy does not fight the tithe because of currency. He fights it because of clarity. Disorder blinds. Order opens windows. When you align, peace rises, clarity returns, fear breaks, and strategy forms. Bills stop ambushing because dates come into view. Impulses lose their leverage because anxiety no longer sits on the throne. Choices slow to wisdom's pace. The devourer, deprived of access and exposed by light, begins to starve. Listen for the invitation inside the command. Prove me. God is not insecure. He is inviting fellowship under His government. He is saying, come into my order and watch me govern what governs you. So let the confession form on your lips now. Father, I step under your government. I bring what is yours. Open the windows of sight. Rebuke the devourer for my sake. Let order stand as a wall around my house, my accounts, my heart. I refuse scattering. I receive alignment. And under this alignment, I will walk in steady peace and protected provision. Hear me clearly. Order is not a personality trait. It is a government. Your life is always under rule, either the tyranny of anxiety or the order of heaven. Money does not float in a vacuum. It flows in a river governed by a throne. Whose throne? That is the jurisdiction question. Government sets laws, establishes borders, defines calendars, and assigns first things their place. Heaven's government does the same. It gives rhythm to your earning, sight to your spending, protection to your margin, and peace to your decisions. When you align, you do not just get better habits, you come under better government. You are not a spiritual orphan improvising survival. You are a son, a daughter, in covenant with a faithful father. Orphans hoard because they fear tomorrow. Sons and daughters steward because they know they are kept. Orphans guess. Sons are guided. Orphans strive to earn a place. Sons receive instruction because they already belong. This is not about perfection. It is about position. In the Father's house, order is not a mood. It is a culture. It is the way of the family. It is how love becomes structure, and structure becomes safety. Why does the devourer target disorder? Because disorder is unguarded space, and unguarded space becomes legal ground. The enemy is an opportunist. He watches for vacancy signs, unnamed dollars, unknown dates, unmanaged impulses, unbuilt reserves, unstrategized debts. When there is no border, trespass feels normal. When there is no calendar, ambush feels inevitable. When there is no assignment, money wanders and then disappears. The devourer does not need your permission when you yield him your negligence. Disorder is consent dressed as confusion. But order revokes consent. Order posts the notice, no access, under new government. This is jurisdiction, not jargon. Under panic's government, choices rush, bills shout, and shame narrates. Under heaven's government, choices slow to wisdom's pace. Obligations become appointments instead of attacks, and your voice returns with authority. The tithe is a statement of jurisdiction. First fruits is a declaration of government. Yet even before we detail that practice, hear the pivot we are making, from theory to territory. We will walk the borders of your financial life and identify the exact doors that have been left ajar, not to condemn you, but to close access points. Unnamed money, no calendar, penalty living, subscription fog, impulse soothing, no reserve, debt without strategy. One by one, we close them, and with each closure, the devourer loses ground he never lawfully owned. Let the confession rise now and set the seal on your heart. Father, you are the source. You are the owner. You are the provider. I come into your order. I renounce the government of anxiety. I receive the government of peace. Place my accounts, my plans, and my pace under your jurisdiction. Teach my hands to steward. Open heaven's windows of sight. Rebuke the devourer for my sake. As I align, let borders strengthen. Let ambushes end. Let peace govern. Not the rule of panic, but the rule of your presence. Not scattered, but established. Not orphaned, but kept. Under your government, I will walk in protected, peaceful provision. Disorder. Door number 1 is simple to name and costly to ignore. Unnamed money. Unnamed money wanders. Ungoverned money leaks. The enemy does not need you reckless, he needs you vague. Vague is his camouflage. Ambiguity is his access. Hear me. Your problem is not more willpower. It is more order. Not tighter fists, but clearer assignments. Not austerity, but authority. When money does not have a job, it will hire itself to your impulses, your conveniences, and your quiet, forgotten subscriptions. When there is no assignment, later becomes a thief. Naming is not a budgeting trick. It is a spiritual act. In the beginning, God named light day and darkness night. He called the dry ground earth and the gathered waters seas. He brought the creatures to Adam to see what he would call them. Naming is dominion language. Chaos is what remains unnamed. Covenant people name because covenant people govern. To name is to set borders. To assign is to establish jurisdiction. The devourer traffics where there are no names because what has no name has no guard. So we close the door with simple, holy clarity. Before the month begins or the moment income arrives, speak order over every dollar. Give it a place, a purpose, a path. Not in theory, but in headings that carry weight. Needs, bills, giving, saving, debt payoff, margin. That is not stinginess, that is stewardship. It is not control born of fear, it is structure born of trust. When you name needs, peace stands at the gate of your household. When you name bills, ambush loses its element of surprise. When you name giving, lordship becomes practical. When you name saving and debt payoff, the future stops eating your present. When you name margin, you protect the quiet where wisdom speaks. Make it beautifully plain. Create digital buckets or simple envelopes. Label your accounts by assignment, not by bank branding. Household, needs. Storehouse, giving. Reserve, 3 months. Freedom, debt payoff. Margin, buffer. Put autopays inside named accounts so the purpose and the payment agree. Audit your subscriptions, not with guilt, but with light. Each one must report to a category, or it is trespassing. If a dollar cannot tell you its job, you have found a leak. This is how windows become sight. Windows are not about money. They are about sight. When you name your money, fog lifts. Options clarify. Impulses weaken. Convenience stops driving because assignment has the wheel. Unnamed money becomes ungoverned money, and ungoverned money is an open door to devouring. But named money stands under order, and order starves the devourer. Confess it now and mark the territory. Father, I reject vagueness. I receive your order. I name what you have entrusted to me. I assign every dollar a purpose in your presence. Let my categories become borders, my borders become peace, and my peace become protection. Under your government, my money will not wander. It will worship by doing what it was named to do. Disorder. Door number 2 hides not in dollars, but in days. Hear it. Surprise is often not an event. It is a missing system. The due date did not change. Your visibility did. I forgot is not a moral failure. It is a calendar failure. When dates live in the dark, bills become wolves. They wait in the brush, and when your back is turned, they pounce. No calendar, no covenant. Why? Because covenant keeps time. God set seasons, appointed times, rhythms that anchor the heart. Government always establishes calendars. Heaven's government brings sight to your days. Windows are not about money, they are about sight. When the window opens, you do not just see amounts, you see timing. You see the 1st, the 12th, the 23rd before they arrive. You stop living in reaction. You stop paying with adrenaline. What you can see cannot ambush you. Sight turns bills from attacks into appointments. An appointment is peace. It is a name and a time. It says, we meet here, not there. We meet then, not whenever chaos chooses. Let us close the door with holy simplicity. Build a one-page bill calendar that lives where you live, on the fridge, in your planner, or pinned as the first screen on your phone. One page, one glance, all due dates. List the name, the amount, the due date, the paying account, and whether it is autopay or manual. If a bill is variable, put the range. If a due date fights your pay cycle, call and move it. Most companies will shift within a window. Alignment is not luck. It is a phone call under wisdom. Set automated reminders as servants of order. 3 touches. 5 days before, 2 days before, morning of. Use your calendar app. Use text alerts from your bank. Let reminders land in the account that pays the bill so money and message agree. Then establish a weekly 15-minute review, a covenant appointment with peace. Same day, same time, every week. Look 14 days ahead. Confirm incoming deposits, scheduled payments, and balances in your named accounts. Adjust before impact. This is not paperwork. This is priestly work. You are ministering order to your household. Anxiety feeds on the unknown. Order makes the unknown visible. Visibility restores rest. When dates stand in the light, dread loses its drama. Bills stop shouting because you have already spoken. You are not hiding from envelopes or swiping in denial. You are governing. Peace rises, clarity returns, fear breaks, and you can breathe while you pay because you saw it coming. And coming things do not conquer prepared hearts. Mark this transition, because the devourer prefers the shadows created by unknown dates. In those shadows he breeds small, repeated losses. Late fees, overdrafts, just this once penalties that become a pattern. They are not random. They are the fruit of invisible calendars. But now that sight has entered your days, we will unmask penalty living next. For today, seal this confession. Father, I submit my time to your order. Appoint my bills as appointments, not a tax. Open the window of sight over my calendar. Let my weekly review be worship. Under your government, surprise loses its teeth, and my days move at the pace of peace. Now we unmask the quiet thief that takes a little every time until you feel small. Penalty living. Hear me. A late fee is not just a cost. It is compounding shame. It is compounding stress. It is compounding loss of margin. Each fee does three things at once. It taxes your money, it taxes your mind, and it tells your heart a lie. You are behind. You are careless. You are losing. That is not a line item. That is a spiritual erosion. The devourer loves fees because they harvest more than dollars. They harvest confidence. Trace the pattern so you can break it. Disorder breeds delay. Delay triggers penalty. Penalty reduces margin. Reduced margin produces more disorder. The cycle tightens. The devourer circles. Not fate, access. Penalties are not random. They are predictable outcomes of disorder. And predictability means you can shut the door. When you close the path that always leads to a fee, you do more than save $35. You starve a cycle, and you recover your voice. So we build boundaries that speak order. First, set autopay minimums everywhere a missed payment births a fee, especially on credit cards and utilities. Minimums, not because we love debt, but because we refuse fees. Then, by your calendar, pay your planned amount before the due date. Autopay is a safety net, not an abdication of sight. Sight remains the shepherd. Windows are not about money. They are about sight. Sight sees the fee before it forms. Second, weaponize overdraft protection in your favor. Link checking to savings or a small line of credit that transfers without a fee. If your bank profits by punishing a misstep, opt out of fee-based overdraft altogether, so a transaction declines rather than fines you. Set low balance alerts at thresholds you choose, $200, $500, so the warning comes early, not after the wound. Third, consolidate due dates around your pay cycle. Call lenders, utilities, subscriptions. Move them into two predictable windows that match deposit rhythm. Scattered dates create ambushes. Clustered dates create appointments. Alignment is not luck. It is a phone call under wisdom. Fourth, renegotiate and reverse. Fees already charged are not destiny. They are a conversation. Call within 30 days and say, "I value this relationship. I'm establishing automatic payments and aligning dates. Would you remove this fee as a courtesy?" Ask for a lower APR, a hardship plan, a reset of terms. You are not a victim of your bank account. You are a steward with authority to restructure. Government speaks. Terms listen. Finally, institute a no-fee rule over your house. This household does not pay avoidable fees. Put it in your weekly review. Scan for penalties. Reverse what can be reversed. Close accounts that refuse alignment. Choose banks and cards that honor order. No monthly maintenance fees, no overdraft fees, alerts that serve you. Make the next 90 days a penalty fast. Zero fees, zero shame. Only order. This is not condemnation. This is coronation. Not self-hatred. Self-governance under heaven's government. Let repentance be your repositioning. Father, I step out of penalty and into order. I renounce delay. I receive sight. Open the windows over my stewardship. Rebuke the devourer for my sake. Establish my boundaries. Under your government, fees lose their voice, cycles break, margin returns, and peace sits at my table. Now we face the fog that steals in whispers, not shouts. Subscription fog is the devourer's favorite weather. He does not always arrive as a crisis. He prefers a cloud, tiny recurring charges, free trials that kept breathing, App Store taps you do not remember, intro rates that graduated when you were not looking. He does not need a floodgate if you will accept a mist. Small leaks are still leaks, and the devourer specializes in what is small enough to ignore. Hear the reframe so your heart rests. This is not about deprivation. It is about protection. Cutting leaks is not restriction. It is restoration. Order does not rob you of joy. It returns you to joy by removing the quiet tax of forgetfulness. Windows are not about money. They are about sight. When heaven's windows open, you see where your life is being taxed by convenience. You see the $5 that never travels alone. You see the only $9.99 that pledged allegiance to your margin without asking permission. We close this door with one clean covenant month of light, an audit month. For 30 days, add nothing new. No new trials, no just to try it. Freeze App Store purchases behind a password you do not know by heart. Then pull the last 90 days of statements, checking, credit, app stores, and list every recurring charge on one page. Name as it bills, actual amount, frequency, and what life-giving job it supposedly performs. If the purpose is foggy, you found a leak. If the name is cryptic, translate it. Fog thrives on confusion. Clarity is jurisdiction. Next, cancel, rename, renegotiate. Cancel anything that cannot state its assignment in one sentence that serves your current season. Rename survivors by purpose, not brand. Entertainment, films. Tools, design. Education, language. Work, cloud backup. When names become assignments, spending becomes sight. Then call to renegotiate. Annual plans with real savings. Student/loyalty discounts. Pauses instead of payments when not in use. This is not stinginess. This is stewardship under government. Replace scattered yeses with intentional yeses. Create a single entertainment line item, A pre-funded entertainment subscriptions wallet that all movies, music, and games must draw from. One line, one amount, one window of sight. When the wallet is empty, you do not borrow from groceries. You rotate. Not accumulate. Rotate. Choose 2 services this month, 2 different next month. Joy increases, cost decreases, fog clears. Strategy is order applied, and order shuts the door. Let this site expand, because the same fog lives beyond subscriptions. Food spending done in the dark, delivery fees, tips, the convenience premium, behaves like a subscription you never named. Impulse purchases masquerade as little treats that multiply in the shadows. But you are not at the mercy of fog. You are under government. Confess it now. Father, open the windows over my small decisions. I reject the convenience tax that hides in darkness. I choose intentional yeses. I choose a single place of pleasure that I govern with peace. Under your order, the fog lifts, the devourer starves, and my margin breathes again. Stay close. Next, we will address impulse soothing at the heart level, where anxiety tries to spend what peace was meant to govern. We now come to the checkout that is not a store. It is a symptom. Hear me. Many of your wants were never wants. They were treatments. Treatments for stress that would not settle, for fatigue that kept speaking, for rejection that stung, for scarcity thinking that whispered, "Get yours now or it will be gone." The item promised relief, not utility. The cart became a counselor. The click became a sedative. But that counsel is crooked, and that sedative is short. The relief fades, the balance remains. The devourer feeds on that loop. Anxiety, impulse, regret, repeat. Not merely a spending problem, a heart problem using spending as medicine. Windows are not about money. They are about sight. When heaven's window opens, you see the motive under the motion. You recognize, I am not craving the shoes. I am craving rest. I am not hungry for the gadget. I am hungry for belonging. I am not pursuing a sale. I am pursuing a feeling. Sight frees you from shame because it names the ache and returns you to the healer. Not self-control alone, but heart alignment. Not, I must, but I trust. Self-control without trust becomes war against yourself. Trust births rest, and rest breaks the reach for substitutes. This is the orphan and the son speaking in the same heart. The orphan says, I must get mine now. There will not be enough later. The son says, my father is faithful. I can wait. I am kept. Jesus said, your Father knows that ye have need of all these things. Seek ye first the kingdom. Matthew 6:32-33. That is not poetry. It is provision under government. Alignment first, supply follows. Be anxious for nothing, Paul writes, because anxiety shifts you back into self-provision, and self-provision always shops for comfort it cannot keep. So we close this door with holy, simple practices that honor trust. First, the 24-hour rule. For every non-essential purchase, wait 1 full day. Put it on a waiting list with its purpose in 1 sentence. If the purpose will not stand tomorrow, the purchase will not stand today. Time is a filter. Peace passes through it. Impulse does not. Second, a spending pause prayer. Before you buy, breathe and say aloud, Father, you are the source, not this item. You are the owner, not me. You are the provider, not this purchase. I bring this desire into your light. Give me your peace, and I will obey your peace. Then wait 2 minutes in quiet. Let heaven's window open. When peace returns, the cart empties, because the craving was never truly about the item. Third, create a comfort list that is not commercial. Write it and keep it with you. Walk for 10 minutes. Call a trusted friend. Journal what you feel and what you heard from God. Worship with a single song until your breath slows. When the ache rises, go to that list first. This is not restriction. This is restoration. Order is not punitive. It is protective. You are not denying yourself joy. You are refusing to medicate pain with purchases that cannot heal. Let the confession turn the key now. I am not an orphan. I am a son, a daughter, in covenant. I do not shop for safety. I rest in your faithfulness. I do not buy to belong. I belong. Therefore, I steward. Under your government, anxiety loses its voice. Peace returns, and my stewardship stands. And as peace stands, the devourer, who fed on my hurry and my hurt, begins to starve. Disorder. Door number 6 is the absence of a cushion. The life lived edge to edge, where one unplanned expense becomes a 4-part play. Panic, plastic, penalty, and a promise to fix it later. Hear me. Emergencies are not the devourer. Life will always have flat tires and fractured appliances. The devourer enters when every surprise must be financed, when every bump becomes a cliff, when instability is the only plan. The problem is not the flat tire. It is the flat margin. No reserve means no buffer, and no buffer means your peace is always one inconvenience away from collapsing. Do not call wisdom unbelief. A reserve is not fear hoarding tomorrow. It is stewardship honoring seasons and surprises. Proverbs says, "There is treasure to be desired, and oil in the dwelling of the wise. But a foolish man spendeth it up." Proverbs 21:20. Oil in the house is margin. It is stored readiness. It is not distrust of God. It is agreement with His ways. Order is not restrictive. It is protective. A reserve is protective order that turns emergencies into appointments and interruptions into inconveniences instead of collapses. The devourer is attracted to disorder. He feasts where there are no hedges. A reserve is a hedge. Windows are not about money. They are about sight. When heaven's window opens, you begin to see your year in seasons, not in surprises. You see the car will need tires, not maybe, but when. You see annual insurance premiums not as ambushes, but as dates. You name the medical copay before it arrives. Sight does not eliminate the event, it eliminates the panic. Panic is expensive. Peace is efficient. So we close this door with holy, simple structure. First, establish a starter reserve. One target, one push, one win. Aim for the first $1,000 or one full paycheck, whichever is faster. Sell what no longer serves your season. Pause non-essentials for 30 days. Automate a transfer the moment income lands. Margin first, so it becomes rhythm, not wrestling. This is not luxury. This is your first hedge. Second, build sinking funds, named envelopes for the predictable surprises. Auto, maintenance and tires. Medical, copays and prescriptions. Home, repairs. Gifts and travel. Insurance, annual premiums. Set small, steady amounts, weekly or per paycheck, into each. 10 here, 20 there. Sinking funds are slow floods of wisdom that pre-fill the valleys so crises cannot carve canyons. Put these in separate, clearly named subaccounts so purpose and place agree. If a dollar cannot tell you which fund it belongs to, darkness is trying to reclaim it. Third, practice margin-first thinking under covenant order. In the sequence of your stewardship, first fruits to the Lord, jurisdiction established. Next, margin, reserve and sinking funds, protection established. Then essentials, household and obligations, stability established. Then debt strategy, freedom established. Then goals and enjoyment, delight established. This is not deprivation. This is dominion. You are refusing to live as prey. You are choosing to live as governed. Feel the shift even now. With a reserve, a broken water heater becomes a trip to the envelope, not to the lender. With a reserve, the doctor's visit becomes a paid copay, not an unpaid balance. Peace rises, clarity returns, fear breaks, because order stands as a wall. And here the bridge we must cross next. The largest reserve leak is often interest, devouring by agreement. When your future income is already promised to yesterday's purchases, your reserve fights with its hands tied. But strategy is order applied, and order shuts that door. Seal this with confession. Father, you are the source, the owner, the provider. Under your government, I refuse edge-to-edge living. I establish a hedge. I fund my future peace today. Open the windows of sight. Show me my seasons. I will move margin first. I will name my sinking funds. Rebuke the devourer for my sake. Let emergencies shrink to inconveniences. Let panic lose its voice. Under your order, I am not scattered. I am established. My reserve will not be my trust. You are my trust. My reserve will be my order, and my order will starve the devourer. Here is where the reserve you are building has been bled the most. Interest, devouring by agreement. Hear the spiritual picture so your heart wakes to authority. Interest is a harvest going out, not coming in. It is fruit on someone else's tree, fed by your disorder. Every minimum payment that only pets the principal is a monthly tithe to chaos. The devourer smiles because you planted nothing, yet you are watering an orchard that is not yours. This is not condemnation for having debt. This is clarity for escaping it. Shame is another tool of the devourer. He wants you hiding, not planning. He wants you silent, not governing. We refuse him. We step into order. Windows are not about money. They are about sight. When heaven's window opens, you see the lie in the fine print. Pay the minimum and stay forever. You see that unplanned interest is a tax on yesterday, stealing tomorrow's margin. But sight also shows a door. Strategy. Debt without strategy is devouring by default. Strategy is order applied, and order shuts the door. Choose a plan, not a feeling. Snowball or avalanche? Snowball. Smallest balance first, then roll the freed payment to the next, building momentum you can feel. Avalanche. Highest interest first, then cascade down, optimizing math with discipline. Which is holier? Neither. The holy thing is consistency under covenant. Choose the plan you will keep in peace. Write your list in order: name, balance, rate, minimum, due date. Put it on one page before your eyes. What is seen can be governed. Automate your strike. Set automatic payments for every minimum so lateness never rents space again. Then schedule your extra. On the pay cycle, the same day income lands, aimed at your current target. Let automation carry your intent so impulse cannot kidnap it. Put a small celebration marker on every payoff date, a note, a moment of thanks, because worship seals wins and keeps the heart soft while the hands are strong. Negotiate your battlefield. Call and ask for a lower APR, a courtesy removal of recent fees, a hardship program, a fixed-term consolidation with a lower rate. Transfer only if math and term return months to your life, not more rope to bind you. Ask boldly. You are not a beggar. You are a steward reordering your house under heaven's government. Terms listen when government speaks. Stop the leak at the source. No new debt. Freeze the cards. Remove them from digital wallets. Set a cooling-off period for any purchase you cannot pay in full. Fund sinking accounts so needs no longer knock on plastic. Put a "No New Debt" banner over your weekly review. Let every decision report to it. Not punishment, protection. Order is not restrictive. It is protective. Now, watch the grace of momentum. As one balance falls, payment becomes weapon. Weapon becomes acceleration. As debt shrinks, sight increases. As sight increases, fear breaks. As fear breaks, peace governs. You are not trapped. You are being trained. Order builds maturity, and maturity produces acceleration. This is dominion, your life moving under a different government, your future no longer mortgaged to your past. Seal it with confession. Father, I renounce agreement with devouring interest. Under your government, I choose a plan and I keep it. I automate my obedience. I negotiate with boldness. I close the door to new debt, open the windows of sight, strengthen my hands for this work. Rebuke the devourer for my sake. Let every paid balance be a testimony of your order in my house. I am not scattered. I am established. Peace governs, wisdom leads, and my resources return to purpose. Now we come to the key that makes every other door stay shut: the tithe. Most Christians think tithing is about money. Satan desperately hopes you never discover the truth, that tithing has almost nothing to do with money and everything to do with spiritual alignment. It is not a transaction to buy blessing. It is an act of government. It is identity, not income. It is recognition, not contribution. It is alignment, not superstition. Hear the covenant line: honor the Lord with thy substance and with the firstfruits of all thine increase. Proverbs 3:9. Firstfruits is not a tip to God. It is the placement of the heart. It is Abraham meeting Melchizedek, presenting the tithe as honor, not as leverage. Genesis 14:20. It is a confession. You are the source, not me. You are the owner, not me. You are the provider, not me. The tithe is a statement of jurisdiction. It places your life under a different government. Order is not restrictive, it is protective. The devourer is attracted to disorder. Firstfruits is the first wall of order. Malachi speaks heaven's government over your house. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, and prove me, if I will not open you the windows of heaven. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. Malachi 3:10-11. Windows are not about money. They are about sight. When heaven's windows open, confusion breaks. Options arrange. Timing clarifies. You see the trap before it calls itself an opportunity. And hear the promise's spine. I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. The rebuke is tied to order. Alignment draws protection. Protection preserves peace. Peace guides decisions. And decisions, guided by peace, create margin. Listen to the divine dialogue. God saying, "Come into alignment with me. Put me first and watch what I govern." And the believer responding, "Father, I trust you as source, owner, provider. I return the first tenth as honor. I step under your government with joy." The tithe keeps the heart in the posture of rest, because it keeps the heart in the posture of trust. Self-reliance strains. Trust rests. Rest hears. Hearing obeys. Obedience walks in prepared paths. Make it practical, holy, and simple. The tithe is the first line on your plan, the first dollar out, not the last dollar hoped for. Automate if needed, so emotions do not negotiate with obedience. But never automate your worship. Pair every transfer with confession and thanks. Place it with your storehouse, the spiritual home that feeds you, as Malachi names. Review it in your weekly appointment with peace, not as pressure, but as praise. This house is under heaven's government. If income is irregular, tithe as increase arrives. First, not later. Honor, not leftovers. Feel the shift. Alignment precedes authority. When you establish order with firstfruits, wisdom follows. Sight increases. Negotiations gain favor. Plans keep pace. Fear loosens its grip because government has spoken. You are not a subject of the economy. You are a citizen of the kingdom. And because you have placed the first in his hands, the rest comes under his jurisdiction. This is partnership. This is dominion beginning. Seal it with confession. Father, I bring you the first, and I trust you with the rest. Open the windows of sight. Rebuke the devourer for my sake. Keep my heart at rest as my hands steward with strength. Under your government, my money returns to purpose. My days move at the pace of peace, and my life stands established. Now, with first things first, we will reset your rhythm in 7 days and starve the devourer by practice, not theory. Now we put our hands to the plow for 7 days, and we do it in the light. Day 1. Name your money. Put every dollar under assignment on a single page. Categories that agree with covenant order. First fruits to the Lord. Margin, reserve, and sinking funds. Essentials, home, utilities, transport, food, insurance. Debt strategy, goals, enjoyment. If a dollar cannot state its job, it is trying to leave. Keep it holy and simple. 1 page, 1 plan, 1 voice of government. Confession. I choose order. I receive sight. I walk in peace. Day 2. Calendar your covenant. Gather every due date. Shift what can be shifted. Cluster into 2 windows that match your paydays. Set a weekly money appointment, same day, same hour, where peace presides and pressure is silent. Turn bills from ambushes into appointments. What you can see cannot strike you. Windows are not about money. They are about sight. Confession. I am not surprised. I am scheduled. I am not scattered. I am established. Day 3. Shut the penalty door. Autopay every minimum where a fee would be borne. Opt out of fee-based overdraft or link to no-fee protection. Set balance alerts. Make the call to reverse recent fees and lower rates. Write over your home. No avoidable fees. Order is not restrictive. It is protective. Confession. Delay breaks. Fees fall. My house honors order. Day 4. Clear the subscription fog. Pull 90 days of statements. List every recurring charge. Cancel what lacks a clear assignment. Rename survivors by purpose. Create one pre-funded entertainment wallet and rotate. Don't accumulate. Freeze App Store buys behind a password. Confession. I refuse fog. I embrace clarity. Small leaks lose their voice. Day 5. Plan food and pause impulse. Meal plan 3 simple dinners. Shop with a list and a limit. Fast delivery for 7 days. Institute a 24-hour rule for non-essentials. Pray the spending pause prayer and reach for your non-commercial comfort list first. Confession. I do not medicate with money. Peace governs my appetite. Day 6. Build the starter reserve. Automate a margin-first transfer the moment income lands. Race to the first $1,000 or one paycheck. Open named sub-accounts for sinking funds. Auto, medical, home, gifts, insurance. Drip wisdom weekly. Watch panic starve. Confession. I fund my future peace today. Emergencies shrink to inconveniences. Day 7. Set your debt strategy and your giving rhythm. Choose snowball or avalanche. Automate minimums and your extra strike the day income arrives. Freeze new debt. Pair it all with first fruits alignment. Tithe as the first act, every time, with worship on your lips. Add a planned generosity line so overflow has a path. Confession. I live under heaven's government. I attack debt with wisdom. I honor God first and always. Now feel the compounding. Order creates visibility. Visibility creates peace. Peace creates consistency. Consistency creates maturity. Maturity creates acceleration. And acceleration turns stewardship into testimony while the devourer starves. You are not a subject of the economy. You are a citizen of the kingdom. Stand up into your jurisdiction. Govern your house with peace. Walk your 7 days and keep walking. We will continue from here into kingdom increase, how wisdom multiplies, how generosity opens pathways, how partnership with God turns steady order into supernatural acceleration. Stay in rhythm. Keep the windows open. Let the devourer find nothing to eat.